We were where the fear began. As we drove along the deserted highways of Texas, the sun was about to set. When I arrived at Redwood Creek, a town with fewer than 30 inhabitants that even the map seemed hesitant to show, there was something strange in the air. The wind was blowing dust everywhere. The streets were deserted. The only sound came from an old sign at the town's entrance. Redwood Creek, the law still applies here. While searching for a motel, a rusty patrol car in the middle of the main street caught my attention. There was no one inside, but the engine was warm. The bonnet was closed. An incomprehensible voice came from the radio. Just as I was about to walk away, a sharp whistle sounded from behind. When I turned around, a tall man who seemed to have emerged from the dust was walking towards me. He wore an old-fashioned sheriff's uniform with a shiny badge, but there was something strange about his face. It was as if he wasn't emerging from the shadows. In a deep, chilling voice, he said, "No strangers are allowed in town at night. I've lost my way. I'm just looking for a place to stay," I managed to say. The man paused for a moment, his eyes wandering over me with a strange emptiness, and his lips moved. "If you're going to stay, you must prove yourself first," he said. As I tried to understand his question, the wind's howl grew louder. In the blink of an eye, the man vanished. There was only a metal star swaying on the ground, a sheriff's badge. When I reached out, its coldness penetrated to my bones. At that moment, I realized that if there was anyone enforcing the law in this town, they were no longer alive. When I went to my room at the motel, I felt an inexplicable heaviness and strangeness inside me. As soon as I closed the door, I heard the sound of heavy boots outside. I looked through the crack in the curtain and saw that the sheriff had reappeared. But this time his face was clearer, only there was no light in his eyes. A very cold wind began to seep in under the door. Then I heard a metallic click. The badge was rolling around on the floor by itself. A loud voice filled the room saying, "The law still applies." At that moment, I saw a silhouette moving in the room's mirror. When I turned around, no one was there, but the sheriff was looking at me from inside the mirror. He held a document that had rusted years ago. My name was written on it, and underneath was this note: "Everyone who stays overnight in Redwood Creek must take an oath." The sheriff in the mirror raised his hand. The surface of the mirror cracked and emitted a cold breath. The door opened by itself. At the end of the corridor was the town's old jail. The lights were on, but there was no one in town. Suddenly, the same sentence echoed from everywhere: "Everyone who faces the sheriff takes his place." I looked down at my feet. The floor was darkening. It was as if the wood was pulling me down. Screaming, I bolted out of the motel. I jumped into my car and started the engine. When I looked back in the mirror, the sheriff was standing in the middle of the road, his badge in his hand. I stepped on the gas and drove away from the town.